Teenagers are the epitome of lazy. Compared to our grandparents who walked 10 miles to school through snowstorms and wild animals waiting to jump them, us kids are living life on easy mode. Aside from sitting around and frantically stalking Kylie Jenner and Timothy Chalamet on Instagram, all we do is sleep, complain, and invent problems that don't exist, like cytophobia, the fear of ordering food. If you're a scaredy cat, just say that. It's 2023. It's okay to own your truth now. But on another note, many people would argue that the biggest problem of Gen Z is our procrastination. I mean, when the math teacher says the assignment is due tomorrow, we hear you should do it tomorrow. But on the same note, procrastination isn't exclusive to Gen Z. Previous generations, especially the baby boomers, also have a habit of putting things off. And I don't mean just math homework. And this is where our problem begins. Because at some point, procrastination becomes neglect. And that neglect starts a trickle-down effect onto our society. So today, let's first go back in time and see what kind of math assignments the baby boomers avoided. Next, we'll see how avoiding our homework assignments won't actually make them go away. Before finally going back to the future and seeing where all those late assignments actually led our GPA. Teenagers nowadays have the luxury of GPS and email. But it ain't all sunshines and rainbows. Sometimes it's only sun and a UV index of 20. Which is part of why many people believe that of all the generations, the baby boomers have had the best midlife and teenage years. As mentioned in the name, they were born in a period of post-war baby abundance. Approximately 76 million babies were born between 1946 and 1964 in America alone. According to Britannica, as a result, the need to accommodate these growing families spurred a suburban boom in affordable housing, schools, places of worship, shopping malls, and the road, rail, water, and electrical lines that serve them. Meaning that buying a house, going to college, and affording essential medical care was more affordable than ever before. But instead of focusing on this foundation and thinking proactively, the boomers sought out ways to further their own personal benefit, especially through taxes. After the war, it was a nationwide knowledge that the rich had some sort of responsibility to give back to their country. At the time, the highest earners paid over 90% of their income in taxes alone. But as time went on, that number decreased significantly, as the boomers voted for more policies that decreased their individual tax rates. While these benefited them significantly, the younger generations took kind of a turn. The Atlantic reports that the younger generations will pay for these actions through higher national debt, lower funding for programs that will benefit them, and eventually higher tax rates. In addition, due to the fact that the baby boomers had significantly less children than their precursors, the American workforce is now majorly made up of 55 to 75-year-olds. The Washington Post reports that as they age, the working age in America is getting older than ever. Lower number of workers per retiree ratio are threatening the futures of programs such as Social Security and Medicare, which support our older Americans by taxing current workers. As the share of American workers shrink, that source of money will too. A rational solution would be to open up to more immigration and make citizenship more accessible and attainable. But these are the boomers we're talking about, and they do love procrastinating. So their rational solution was to increase the retirement age, further hurting everyone and anyone who comes after them. Are you ever at a family gathering and realize that what's being said in the living room is enough to get your whole bloodline canceled? But instead of saying anything, you just sit there silently and hope to avoid a screaming match at dinner. Maybe you even tell yourself that they're from a different time. The good old days, as they like to say, where being racist was acceptable and Achilles and Patroclus were really just close friends. But unfortunately, as fun as it is to practice everything we could have said in the shower later that night, we can't keep avoiding these tough conversations. And those shower talks have to start happening to an actual person. Because whether we like it or not, the political and social standings of the baby boomers have a significant effect on our society and our lives. When kids get frustrated with their grandparents or other older adults for not understanding something they have to say about important global or social issues, the only thing they can resort to is a shallow phrase such as, "Okay, boomer," because they can't say much else in fear of jeopardizing a family relationship or coming off as disrespectful. But correcting an older person when they say a slur or make a racist remark shouldn't count as disrespect. This teenage fear of coming off as conceited and rude, and the adult fear of not understanding the changing world around them, is what contributes to this ongoing blame game. You may have heard, "These kids are going to change the world," from the very adults that refuse to adapt to change. A website titled Easy Living writes that much of what seems as closed-mindedness and inability to adapt to change on the baby boomers' part actually stems from fear. Fear scares. Humans are scared of what they don't understand, and this case is no different, which is why, as we move forward, we need to be more open to having these vulnerable conversations so that we can build a better and brighter future for everyone that comes after us. Besides, how is Gen Alpha going to save us when they're all full of betas? The American teenage experience is probably one of the most romanticized ideas in the world. With high school football games and school dances, it does seem like a dream. But in reality, high school life in America is less like Victorious and more like Euphoria, minus adults playing children. It's a wide-known fact that of all the generations, Gen Z has been the most open about our mental health struggles. It is just as well known that the older generations have been less accepting to that fact, often making remarks such as, "You're just a kid. What could you be worried about?" Or, "Stop doing it for attention." While non-Americans and older Americans see the student sections of high school football games and prom pictures, they fail to see the suicide hotline plastered on the back of our student IDs in big, bold letters. 988. We do have it better than most, but this is not the teenage life that we dreamt of when we were little. Gina Denny, a concerned mother with a master's in child development and education, wrote an article titled, "Boomers Could Never Survive High School Today." In it, she emphasizes the educational differences in American education then and now. Gina Denny's son was struggling in upper-level high school math, but when they told his grandmother, Denny's mom, she was confused as to why he was still in a math class after Algebra 1, since no one in her class had been. This just emphasizes that generational differences exist everywhere, even in math classes. A study done by New York University on a group of high-achieving students shows that nearly 50% of these students struggle with high levels of stress in their day-to-day life. Grades, homework, and preparing for college are all main factors of these stress levels for both genders. A substantial minority, 26%, also reported feeling symptoms of depression at a clinically significant level. While being an American high schooler does have its perks, this is not what we dreamt of. As colleges are getting more selective, American high schoolers find themselves signing up for more than they can handle, just to seem more appealing to the top colleges that they want to get into, ironically, losing themselves in the process. Pressure about college has always been around, but never to this degree. And the last thing we need from our older peers is insensitivity and invalidation. Now, after this 9-minute speech, you still aren't convinced that we have a severe problem with procrastination that leads to detrimental societal issues? I have one thing to say to you. Okay, boomer,